friends, welcome back to Hello Friends. I am your host, Brandy.
And I'm Kayla, and today we are going to talk about some serious sparkle, but not necessarily the kind that you just buy or see out at the raves and festivals.
I mean, kind of, sort of, because they had quite a bit of money. So today we're going to talk about women of the Gilded Age. This topic came to mind because my sisters and a lot of my friends were telling me about the show on HBO, like the Gilded Age. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And so I literally started watching it this week, and it kind of sparked some interest and some pique into me, because when you think of the Gilded Age, you think of like the Vanderbilts and the Carnegies, but you only think of the men. You forget that there was women behind these movements too. And so the suffragettes and, there was different innovative women who made a lot of money during the Gilded Age. And it's crazy that we don't talk about them. So the show was the catalyst for this episode. So there was a lot of rapid change during the Gilded Age. It started in the late 1800s and lasted to, I think, 1905. So at the turn of the century is when stuff started really taking shape for our country. And it's the basis of where American wealth is today.
Yeah.
And that's crazy for me, because just to think of it, the beginning of it and how it looked is just baffling.
So for me, I haven't watched the show, and honestly, I was going through other things in life during school, so I really didn't know much of anything of the Gilded Age when you sent this to me, and I was like, okay, which I love that, because it gives me the chance to kind of go look into something and educate myself on a piece of history that, I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah.
And I literally remember reading, and when I saw the time frame of being the 1800s into that early 1900s, 1870s to 1900s, I was like, wait, there was women doing things back then?
Girl, yeah.
We didn't have rights. We didn't have shit happening for us at that time. So reading into it, I literally was amazed, and I think it's so inspiring that you can see women, when you do look into the history and really specifically into women's history, and be like, wow, okay, if they can do it, what can we do now?
Yeah, that was the start of the bad bitch era, which most people don't realize. The Gilded Age was literally the start of the bad, it was the time when women was nah, I can do this. I absolutely can do this. I don't need you. I can do this. And that was the part that kind of sparked in me, because, we as women, a lot of the times we still feel we need help, or we need a man to do certain things. This was back to where we still didn't have rights to do stuff.
Yeah.
And these women were forward facing, and they were no, I can make my own money. I can buy my own house. I can own my own car. I don't need you. And so in doing the research for this episode, I was like, okay, I see. I'll see y'all. I see y'all doing things.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Hetty Green. She was known as being the Witch of Wall Street. And she had this image that the media really portrayed her as just this cold-hearted, ruthless, greedy, frugal bitch, honestly.
Yeah.
But she was doing what every guy on Wall Street was doing.
That part. She just had a vajayjay.
Yeah.
And so it was frowned upon, which is why they called her a witch. I am going to talk about the two Mrs. Walkers of the Gilded Age. I'm going to talk about Maggie L. Walker, who is the first Black woman to own and start a bank and become a millionaire. And then I'm also going to talk about Madam C.J. Walker, who is the first Black self-made millionaire. And when I say self-made, I mean self-made, all on her own.
Self-made in a time when women were not supposed to be self-made.
Nope. Okay. So, you want to talk about Miss Green real quick?
Yeah, so I will take y'all through. So she was born in Massachusetts back in November of 1834. She was born into a really wealthy family. So, I mean, she did come from wealth, but you will see why, to me, it doesn't matter. She did that shit. So she learned finance and stuff really young, which I think for back then is mind-blowing to me in the first place. She had a grandfather who was like partially blind, so she would read him all of the like financial articles and things like that, and that's how she learned about like all of the stocks and all of the like Wall Street stuff that she ends up doing later on.
Cool.
So she sits there and she would read all of these articles to her grandfather when she was like a kid. And then by the time she was a teenager, she was running their family like finances for all of the businesses. So like she was a baddie from the jump, just like killing it. When she's 21, she inherits what in today's world would be like $6 million.
God dang.
Yeah.
That's like a billionaire back then.
Yeah. So in today's money, it would be $6 million. She gets that at 21. Where every other woman, even wealthy women back then, would have taken their money, like immediately inherited it, gotten married to a man, handed over the finances to him, and then, you know, did that typical parade. She said, fuck that noise. Absolutely not. Not for me. Why? Why do I need a man? I know how to do this shit. I've been doing this shit. So she ends up not doing that. She moves to New York and she starts investing. She goes to Wall Street. She's buying up railroads, real estate, bond stocks, like all this different shit. She gets known because when everyone else would panic and sell, she would have the liquid capital to buy everyone's shit.
Yeah.
So she ends up just continuing to make these like shrewd investments and gather all this wealth, but she's known in her personal life of just being very frugal. She's like she doesn't buy a house. She rents because she doesn't want to have to pay property taxes. And like,
okay, that's smart. For back then, that's actually pretty smart.
So that's the thing. Like she just goes through, but she did that because when she stayed frugal and tight, then when all of these, like at one point, I think they said in like, I think it was 1907, there was a big crisis in New York and the city like didn't have the money to like continue. She's the person who loaned money to New York to keep New York running.
Y'all hear that? One woman loaned money to an entire city.
In the early 1900s.
Yeah. She was just like, you know what? I'll write the check.
Yeah. So she just played everything really smart. She did get married at one point. She did have a husband. She made him sign a prenup.
Oh, snap. That's smart.
And that it was unheard of.
That was back before prenups was like prenups.
Yeah, that was unheard of back then. But she made him sign a prenup when they got married.
Wow.
They had 2 kids. Her daughter, I think, like ended up very much like her. They said that she was also very like reserved and reclusive and ended up like running the family businesses and stuff. She was known for wearing like the same black dress.
What?
For years.
So she didn't spend money on anything.
She didn't spend her money on anything.
And that's crazy because in the Gilded Age, that's where everybody was doing.
Everyone was showing up. And that was the thing that really, like, I think made it easy for media to portray her as the witch of Wall Street. She's showing up in the same black dress for years on years on years. She has money.
Yeah.
She's not spending it. She doesn't buy clothes. She said that the social life, like the society things, that was a waste of time. And she was not showing up. She had no friends. She wasn't trying to do any of that.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean,
she was like, no, I'm about my business.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not doing it. She did end up separating from her husband at one point, but they never fully divorced. She had a couple friends, but she avoided all of the high society. When she ends up dying, and this is a part that I'm like, you can't say that she didn't do the shit. So when she ends up dying, that $6 million that she had gotten or inherited at 21, she ended up literally increasing that to what would approximately today be 3 to 6 billion.
God, dog.
So at her death, she was worth $100 to $200 million in 1916.
Jesus.
100 to 200.
And that's just
million.
one woman who was just like, you know what? I'm not going to your parties. I'm not buying new clothes. I'm not doing none of that. I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to go and buy all this property and do what I need to do and screw everything else.
Yep. Which, again, back then was crazy because it was this life of champagne parties and corsets and these fancy dresses and like high society. Like if you had money and wealth, you were supposed to be like this glamorous, like...
Because the Gilded Age literally is the beginning of either you have money or you don't.
It was where that wage gap was so apparent.
Yeah.
There was a few people that were just like rich as fuck, and then everybody else was in
poor.
Poverty, like severe poverty too.
There was no middle ground. It was either you had it or you don't. And if you had it, you were supposed to flaunt it so that everyone knew you had it.
Exactly.
So that's kind of crazy to me because, you know, fast forward, we almost don't have a middle class anymore, but but we have like the middle class that merged those two social things together to where, you know, you have it, but you're on the cusp of not having it. And there's lots of signs to still today that show if you have money versus if you don't have money. Mm-hmm. And that started back in the Gilded Age.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of cool because even, you know, over several hundreds of years, we still follow those social norms. So we still follow, like, if you have money, you have the big diamonds, you have the fancy car, you have all of these things. It is a showy display of your worth.
Yeah. And even the people who aren't super like showy with like their outfits, they have the cars or the mansions or the, you know, like there's something.
There are signs. There will be signs.
There will be signs that the money is there for sure.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about Maggie L. Walker first because I'm going to save Madam C.J. Walker because she's actually one of my favorite women in history. So Maggie L. Walker was born in 1864. She was a businesswoman and a teacher. She started off as a teacher, which I thought was incredibly humbling because most women were teachers back then.
Yep.
They weren't like, you were either a teacher or a nurse or...
That's like a job you expect to hear for a woman back then.
But she also was an African-American woman. And so what she did is, because she was a teacher and she was from the rural South, she realized that most of African Americans were not able to get a line of credit from anywhere. So what she did was she started a bank. She started a bank to where people of color can put money into a reserve and then take out a line of credit to use for Black-owned businesses.
Oh, I love that.
Because, of course, within that period of time, we were still very segregated.
Yeah, this is like right in that time frame of slavery being ended.
And so what she did was she created like this bank within the National Negro League throughout all the states. So she created a bank for her own people so that we could have credit and we can invest and start to buy houses and clothes and things like that. Because, you know, we're coming off like the Civil War and stuff. And so people of color really didn't have anything. Yeah. And in order for her to do all of this, there was a lot of work that she had to do. And she did it on her own. Was no man around.
No, I love that. And it's like, I see a need in my community for my people. I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's what she did.
I love that.
That is what she did, because she got tired of seeing like kids coming into class with like no shoes and no clothing. And, you know, it was really hard for people of color to even get like a head up and like to move past slavery. So when she did all of this, she did it in Virginia.
Wow.
She didn't do this in New York. She did this in the South.
Yeah.
And she became a millionaire in the South in the late 1800s.
That's incredible.
And then from there, she just started becoming a huge advocate for people of color. So what she did, she was part of the NAACP, the Negro League. Like, she would get all these organizations together to help grow people of color, because that was a time to where, you know, they didn't really know how to move forward. And so it took some kind of organization for them to do that. And that's what she did. She became a civil rights activist. And she was like, I'm going to help you move forward and start your life away from what we've been known to have happen. And we're going to keep pushing.
Yep.
And so in like reading about her, I was like, that is insane. How one woman, she's a teacher.
Well, and back then, being a Black woman and saying, I'm going to change my community.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
And then show up and do it?
Like, that doesn't happen. She was like, no, I'm going to stop this, because we need to be progressive, not regressive, and we don't need to stay put.
Yeah. Well, and it's like such an example of, you know, like, bad things are going to happen. And like, we're always consistently trying to make the change as a society to improve with each other as we continue on. And I just think that whole mentality of saying, like, you know what, all this just happened. We're all still hurt over this. And rightfully so. Fucking valid. So fucking valid. But just being able to say, like, someone has to do something for us to move forward, and we have to move forward. And like, that is just so inspirational for someone in like, wow, just in the South, like, out there doing the thing.
What she did was actually really cool, because she put all of her money back into the community. Like, she also was one of those people. She wasn't very flamboyant. Like, she had money. She had plenty of money. But a lot of times she would put it back into the community. And she even started a newspaper for the Black community so that we had access to what was really happening. And a lot of times it would talk about the lynchings that went on in Virginia and like the injustice that happened to where you didn't hear about it before.
Yeah.
So she used her position in life to do something for good, and she didn't come from money.
Yeah.
Like, she just didn't. She didn't come from no money, $0.
Yeah. It was just like a passion within her to like help her community and help her people.
So, you know, that's Maggie L. Walker. And then my favorite, she really is my favorite. There's a reason why she's my favorite. Madam C.J. Walker is my favorite because most people do not know about her, even though most people in the Black community do, because we have a whole hair care line of products from Madam C.J. Walker. And that is how she made her money. She was a washerwoman, which means she took in clothes to wash, and her hair was falling out from a lot of the lye and the different things that she would use. She actually created a formula to grow her hair. And she started teaching Black women how to take care of their hair. We didn't have products for our hair back then. We didn't. There was just a stigma with our hair.
Yeah.
She removed that. She's the first person to say, nope, that's not right. And so she created this whole hair care line for Black women so that we could see the beauty within ourselves. And
Pop off.
yes,
Pop
like
off.
like she was like, no, bitch, you is fierce, you is fine.
Yeah.
We gonna do it.
You just got to give the love.
Yes.
It just needs some love.
It just needs some love. It just needs a little TLC. We got to stop doing what we've been doing. Stop thinking that our stuff is nappy. Stop listening to all these stereotypes.
Which back then, too, it's like, and I was thinking about that when I was researching because, you know, that's not something that I have personal experience with. So I was like, you know, what? I can't even imagine what it was like back then because there wouldn't have been any type of love poured into the Black community and their hair and appearance and the looks at that point in history.
Yep.
Which is heartbreaking, but like when I saw that that's how she like made her money and like that's how she made her name was like doing like a beauty line for like the Black community. I was like, okay.
Well, you have
I love it.
You
like
have to
someone
think
had
too,
to.
because during slavery, we were it was beat into us that we were the lesser women, that we were not beautiful, that we were not worthy. And a lot of times they would cut our hair. They would cut our hair, they would shave our heads, they would do a lot of things to make us unattractive. And so this is coming like away from that. And somebody needed to say to us, you are gorgeous, you are worthy.
Yeah.
And that is what she did. She took that and she said, no, we can grow hair. We really can. We can grow. And our hair is gorgeous.
Honestly, they did that because their men were heathens.
Well, that too. But as a woman, if for 400 years you're taught that
that's what you're being shown, that's what you believe.
And so she took that and she was like, no, that's not us at all. We are gorgeous human beings, you know, and we need some love and some TLC. We need something for us. And then while she was making all of her money, she also started like beauty schools so that she could teach other women how to make other people feel beautiful and enriched.
Just an entire empire.
Yes. And then she also was an advocate and spokesperson for the arts in Harlem. That's the thing that really got to me because she rubbed shoulders with Langston Hughes and poets and like musicians, and just her very being within the Black community, it was phenomenal.
Well, and I think that's what's also incredible because she creates this entire empire and legacy, right? About, you know, beauty in the Black community and empowering that community and trying to give back and pour into it. But her daughter did the same thing. Her daughter took it and was like, that is what she is known for, is setting up using her place in society that she got to inherit because of her mom, taking that and saying, I'm going to use this as my platform to continue that and continue really pouring into the Harlem Renaissance throughout all of that and just giving back and making a place for, you know, artists and community and places for everyone to express themselves and show culture. And just, it was just so cool to hear, like, her mom goes out and is like, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to create this empire. And then her daughter says, I'm going to keep that going. Like, let's keep going with this.
And it
just like, generations of greatness.
And it's just generations upon generations upon generations, because she has a step granddaughter who does this exact same thing. They just pour back into the black community. And, you know, this entire, and it's still going. That's the thing people don't realize. Her products are still on the shelf. Like, they literally are.
Wow.
They're still on the shelf. This is a few hundred years later.
Yeah.
You can still buy Madam C.J. Walker's products on the shelf. You know, they've been revamped and they've changed over the years.
Over time, yeah.
Because, you know, we've learned that there's certain things we can put in our hair, certain things we can't, that there's different hair textures.
Yeah, it develops over time, but it's crazy. Like, it's still the basis of, like, her empire and her product, her story.
And she grew up on a plantation. She didn't come from any money. She had nothing, zero. And she started this product line. She had to pedal door to door and go to like plantations to talk to these women about their hair.
Just so
she was determined. She was beyond determined. And when she built her mansion in her school, this is a part people don't know, and it makes me want to cry. It was built in Central Park. Because Central Park used to be a freedmen's community. And so the first self-made black millionaire, who was a woman, built her house in Central Park.
Wow.
And I was just, for me, I was just like, dang. Like, how awesome is that for you to have that much money to build your place on this place that was just black decadence and elegance all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the place to be. That hurt me so bad because, you know, that community's not there anymore. But that is where she set up her house. That is where she set up her school, because that was the mecca of black society, was in Central Park.
Yeah.
And that's why I admire her, because, you know, coming from nothing, like literally nothing, like you have 2 pennies to rub together, and then creating this whole empire as a woman with not really any help from a man. She was married. He wasn't very supportive. Men were not supportive of women going out there doing anything.
No. They really didn't like us doing things back then.
No. And you know, he stuck around because the money started coming in. But he wasn't good to her. Like, he wasn't. He gambled a lot. He drank a lot. He stayed out all the time. But yet he stuck around. Because it's not like she's a black woman. She can't really get a divorce.
Yeah.
And I hate that part about her story, because, you know, you have to stick in a relationship that is not really benefiting you or helping you progress. But I also see it as, I don't need you to tell me I can be successful.
Yeah.
I don't need you to tell me.
Well, and I don't need your help to do it.
No. So you could just sit over there and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, sit there and be a hater. The fuck do I care?
But it's crazy, because this woman who was born and raised on a plantation, who, you know, was a washerwoman, became the first self-made black millionaire in the Gilded Age. And she had a lot of stuff. Like, she had like a huge ballroom and all kinds of stuff within her mansion. She opened up a school. So just think about, in that time frame, when people of color literally had nothing.
Yep.
Like dirt poor. Homegirl got a car, and she drove her own car, by the way. Women weren't supposed to drive. We were not supposed to drive. Just FYI. Homegirl drove her own car. She had all kinds of fancy dresses and stuff imported from Paris. She had all kinds of diamonds and rubies. Like, there was exceptional wealth from her. Like, exceptional. And she passed it along to her daughter, and her daughter passed it along to her daughter. And it's still going to this day. That's why her line is still going. I think it had been sold, but there's a clause to where it has to stay in her name. So it keeps going on and on and on.
It's incredible. What a legacy.
I know. And I always look at women like her and think, if they can do it from back then to where we didn't have rights and we didn't have anything, and we weren't supposed to have a voice. What voice? You're supposed to be in the kitchen.
Well, and it's women like that kicked us off to get where we are at this point, where you and I, we're able to work full jobs. We're able to sit on this couch and have a voice and use a platform to talk about whatever we want. Like, that was the kickstart of it. So I think when I was going through it, I was like, wow, like, if them deciding, like, I'm not listening to anyone else, I'm following my passion, I'm doing what the fuck I want, you're not going to tell me that I don't know what to do or how to do it. Like, I'm going to do my thing. If that helped us get here, like, what could we be doing and what should we be chasing that is going to advance us even further for the generations to come after us, like our grandkids and our great grandkids? Like, I want people hundreds of years from now to, be able to look at women in this time frame too and be like, wow, like, they did things that really just continued to help push that narrative forward.
Well, I mean, if you go back and you look at it and you look, so like that's when the suffragettes came along and they were all about letting women have the right to vote. Now, granted, women were granted the right to vote, but Black women were not. So we kept pushing and we kept pushing and we kept pushing the envelope. But it wasn't until the 1960s to when women really started like organizing together and saying, we want the same thing. Yeah. We don't want to be separated from men. We need to have the same wages as men. We need to have the same rights as men. We need to be able to like open our own checking account. We need to be able to drive and not have to worry about our husband or go to the grocery store and write our own damn check. And it all started back then because there was women bold enough to say, I don't got to listen to you. I'm not listening to you. And matter of fact, I'm going to go do this. I don't care what you doing, but I'm going to do this. And I look at like myself, I'm always pushing. I'm always going forward. And I really don't let anybody dictate to me what I can do versus what I can't do.
Yeah.
I'm always going to keep striving and doing what I feel is best and making sure my voice is heard, because those women back there, they sacrificed so that I can have a voice today.
Yep.
And I want everybody to remember that. A lot of times that gets lost in the shuffle because times have changed so much, but we do have a voice and we are able to invoke change. If we see something going on, especially in society and within our government, within our state, that we really don't like, if we band together, we can invoke change. Women are very, very powerful. And I don't think we give each other enough credit for that.
We don't. Because I think in society, I think we've been, to some degree, we're still being raised up in a way that we are still having to break some of that mindset.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, I was born in the 90s. It's not like I'm very old or anything, But, like, even when I was growing up, the saying of, like, women should be in the kitchen, see, not her, take care of the kids. Like, that was still very common.
Yeah.
And was still very much the norm. So I think that where we've come a long way, there's still a long way to go. And, like, it's just incredible to look back on history and be able to see that women have done it, when we shouldn't have been able to in the past. And if they could do it when the odds were that stacked against them, we can keep pushing forward and keep making change.
I mean, there's like a trend on TikTok. It's called the trad wife. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Those irritate the shit out of me.
Listen, if you want to... I don't want to shit on any woman. Women, I want you to live whatever life makes you happy and what feels right for you. I don't...
My whole thing is this.
That's not...
Why is that tradition? Because it doesn't have to be. You're accepting it as tradition. For me, like I was raised by a